All right, it's the boxing source here checking in, and I have the great pleasure of having a great heavyweight on here with me as the WBO interim champion with a record of 26 wins, just one loss and one draw. It's the Big Bang. Zhilei Zhang is here with the boxing source, and he has his translator, Kurt Lee. I'm very thankful for Kurt Lee for joining us here.
Thank you.
Zhilei Zhang. First off, Zhilei, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
Good, very good. Now, I know this year was a great year for you as you had two great wins over Joe Joyce, two stoppage wins over Joe Joyce. And I'd say with the rematch, you probably had a serious knockout of the year candidate. Coming off the first fight with Joe Joyce, how confident were you that you were going to be able to take down the juggernaut?
今年对你来说意义重大啊，背靠背的赢了乔伊斯2次。第一番战的时候，你觉得你的信心大概是多少？
第一番战的时候，信心是90%。因为乔伊斯第一番战的时候对他没有和他打过嘛，然后知道他很厉害，15战全胜，14场 KO 对手，钢铁下巴，然后红坦克，然后非常厉害，然后所以说当时的信心也只有90%而已，但是我们通过自身的努力，我们团队的努力。然后把第一战拿下来了。
I would say my confidence was only 90% going to that fight because I didn't know nothing about Joe Joyce. Everybody said he had an iron chin, he punched hard, he's the juggernaut, but I didn't had any experience with him before. So I would say my confidence going there is only 90%. But I give it to the team. The team made it happen, and I'm happy about that.
Gotcha. Because, I thought your confidence going into the first fight was pretty much at 100% going off the video where you came into the gym, walking up to Joe with the face off, like saying, hey, Joe, you ready? Are you ready? So I thought you were very confident going into that first fight, and you just, were concerned or pretty much concentrated on, taking advantage of his speed because it looked like you were the faster fighter in both fights.
他还以为你是第一番战就有100%的信心，没想到你说还缺了10%啊，因为你赛前造势啊，去他的拳馆给他校正啊，做的都非常好，而且在速度上你也比他快很多。这个为什么10%缺在？为什么10%的缺少？
因为当时考虑着乔伊斯也是非常强劲嘛，然后没有交过手，然后传说中他非常非常强劲，然后所以说也要给自己保留10%的空间。
Because I was really respecting him. With all the knockouts record, with the juggernaut narrative, I have to go in there with a humble heart. So I can only say that 90% confident, 10% I reserve it to myself.
Gotcha. Now, it was coming off of, a very close fight with Filip Hrgović, where you had the short end of the decision. There were a number of people who felt like you won the fight. So for you to score that win over Joe Joyce the first time was very big in the heavyweight division. And then to score that knockout in the rematch was, a knockout of the year candidate. So getting those two wins over Joe Joyce was very big and, has you as a serious heavyweight contender. After those wins, how do you feel about being around the top or at the top of the heavyweight division?
因为跟 Hergovich 打完之后是非常接近，很多人认为你已经赢了，其实那场比赛。
嗯哼，
紧接着了2场乔伊斯的比赛，把你放到了重量级最炙手可热的位置啊。对这个
嗯哼，
事情，你有什么看法？
呃，和赫格维奇打完之后，然后全迷认为我赢了，但是裁判判我输了，但是我们团队也认为我赢了。然后通过这场比赛呢，然后我们总结了很多。我们团队下来之后，然后通过复盘呢，然后总结了很多，然后对我的提升很大。然后所以说，接下来2场比赛对乔伊斯，我们又通过我们团队的努力，然后不停的分析对手，分析乔伊斯，然后制定专门的技战术啊，然后二番战，然后又更快的终结乔伊斯，然后把他 KO 掉。可能说通过这3场比赛吧，然后拳迷啊，然后对我的认知又更高了一点，对我的认识又更高的认识啊，然后感觉我现在能够站在世界重量级前列，所以说现在把我的排名提得很高，所以说这也给了我更大的动力，让我在以后的训练中啊，在比赛中啊，能够更加的专心专注，然后更去对待每一场比赛。
When you look at the guy and my reason of being there, which I really appreciate, boxing industry and fans to put me in that position. But my reason is after every fight, I go back to study myself, to study the opponent. I know what I do right, I know what I do wrong, and I make corrections and make adjustments. And we really analyze every little thing of that tape, and we came with a better strategy when it comes to training. And then I won the Joe Joyce 2 fights back to back, and I believe every fight I look better. So putting me in that position of top heavyweight, it's something I really appreciate, and it's a motivation for me because I train harder each day and I strive for greatness.
Uh, that's great. That's great. Now, in this current situation, I think that, Zhang, you're with the Lane brothers here in the States and also with Queensbury Promotions. Given that, I've seen that you could have been part of, a big card that happened last weekend, December 23rd, with a lot of heavyweights. And one of the fights that was pretty much brought up was you in a big fight against Francis Ngannou. And it seemed like it just fell apart because it seemed like he didn't want to fight with the Big Bang. How do you think that fight would have been for you? And how big would that fight been in the heavyweight division?
上周末的比赛呢，其实你有机会跟纳甘诺打一场，对吧？后来他拒绝了，不跟你打。如果说你俩真碰上了，或者上周的比赛有你俩的一席之地了，你觉得那个比赛的结果会是什么样子？
如果这场比赛其实没有发生，然后各种原因嘛没有发生，然后如果说这一场比赛在上周末然后发生的话，那肯定是在所有的比赛当中，我感觉如果说是我和纳甘诺的比赛的话，是最精彩的一场比赛了。在当天呢肯定是最精彩的一场比赛，因为纳甘诺刚刚转入职业拳击然后在第一场表现中，然后表现的也非常非常好，然后他在 MMA 领域里面也是比较出色的也是 UFC 的冠军所以说将会是一场非常非常精彩的比赛。
Yeah, unfortunately, that fight didn't happen for the reasons that everybody knows. But I have to give respect to Ngannou because he is a hell of an MMA fighter, and he was one of the biggest punchers in the sport of MMA. Now, let's say if we were to fight on that day or any day, I believe this is a main event quality fight, or if not, it's going to be stealing the show, stealing the whole show. Because you have the best MMA fighter against one of the best boxers and big punchers, it's gonna collide. It's gonna be firework.
Right. You know, two big punches, one from MMA, one from boxing. It would be very huge as far as like a fight that the whole world would probably have been interested in.
Yeah，肯定是精彩，因为是 MMA 最好的拳手跟拳击最好的拳手之间的争夺，是吧？
Yes, yes。然后这一场估计全民也期待这一场比赛的发生，但是它没有发生。
Yeah, I believe fans want to see it too. The market want to see it. They want to see big punches going at each other. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the card itself on December 23rd, we'll go through three of the fights that happened. The first one, Daniel Dubois win over Jarrell Miller. That, you know, after seeing what you saw with Daniel Dubois, you're very confident that you would beat Dubois fairly easily, as was quoted. Given that you have worked with the same promoter as Daniel Dubois, how easy would it be to try to get that fight to happen?
沙特的比赛呢，首先想问问你，因为杜布啊打米勒啊打的是非常漂亮的，而且呢，你前几天你在媒体上说了，如果你跟杜布啊打也是非常轻松的比赛，而且呢，你们是同一个推广人，觉得这场比赛从促成上来说有难度吗？
这场比赛的话，如果促成的话，当然我很乐意去，很愿意去和杜布瓦打，因为杜布瓦现在他从上一场输给乌西克之后，然后这一场又把米勒打败，米勒体重比他大重100磅啊，然后通过他的战术，通过他的速度，通过他的重拳，然后最后在最后一个回合终结米勒。当然我也希望和杜巴来一场对决，因为年轻，他非常年轻，然后有非常发展潜力，
Yeah, I believe it's fairly easy to make that fight happen just because, like you said, same promotion and I look at Dubois like a young, hungry lion who wants to make some noise. After his loss to Alexander Usyk, a lot of people talk bad about him, but he proved himself through the fight with Big Baby Miller, who is 100 pounds over. That's a lot of weight you can expect from the opponent. And he did well and finished him in the last round. I believe if that fight eventually materialized, I'm down.
Awesome. Awesome. That would be a good fight in the heavyweight division. That would, kind of like, solidify who would be around that top 5, top 10 at heavyweight. Now moving forward, you had a, co-feature bout, Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder. Joseph Parker gets the decision win. Now, a lot of people reacted to what you said in reference to Joseph Parker, and that your confidence in beating not just Joseph Parker but other fighters in the heavyweight division. What did you think of Parker's performance in this bout, and how you feel that you're confident that you could beat Joseph Parker?
那第二个问题呢，回到帕克和威尔德这个比赛上来啊，帕克也是打得非常好。如果说你跟帕克打一场你觉得结局会是什么样？从技术上可不可以针对帕克的技战术进行一下分析？觉得你对他的技术的看法是什么样子的？
这场比赛主要是威尔德在阔别拳台那么久，然后将近2年的时间，然后他在拳台上找不到比赛的感觉啊，找不到感觉，然后所以说他的出拳的时机啊等抓不到，所以说帕克这场比赛，因为帕克一直在比赛，然后他的拳台感觉非常好，然后帕克的技术也非常好，我和帕克在2011年巴库世界锦标赛我们有过一次对决，当时我是以点数赢的比赛，帕克的技术也非常好，训练非常刻苦， 我呢技术也很好，我们可以来一次2番战也可以。
Yeah, I really believe that activity is a key factor in this fight. Wilder has been away from the ring for probably 2 years, and when he came back, you see his timing was off, and he trying to catch Parker coming in, but he was just inches away, so his timing was off. So Parker on the other side has been active for the year of 2023, and he's been fighting multiple times, and I believe that's to his advantage in terms of how busy he was. I think Parker is a skillful fighter. The all around is pretty skillful, and I fought him actually in 2010 when we were both in amateur in Azerbaijan in World Championships. I outscored him in that fight. But my impression about Parker is that he's a well-rounded, skillful fighter that has good rhythm. And if that fight happens, I welcome that fight with my both arms open.
Gotcha. Now, you did mention Deontay Wilder and his inactivity. 1 round in 2 years, went one over Robert Helenius last year in 1 round, and before that was his fight against Fury. As you said, inactivity is a factor. But I think you also said that, Wilder will be back. Do you think that, if he had, more fights under his belt, that, he would be sharper and closer to the fighter that, had the high knockout ratio?
你觉得威尔德问题出在哪儿呢？因为他这2年就打了一场比赛，而且这一场比赛还就打了1个回合。他如果说是保持这种比赛的频率，多比赛，你觉得他还会回来吗？
如果说他经常一直比赛的话，他会有拳台那种感觉，有比赛的感觉。如果是长时间脱离拳台，不比赛的话，1年打1次比赛，一次比赛就1个回合，等于说基本上没有什么拳台的上面的那种感觉。如果说他接下来的比赛，然后比赛密集的话，应该还会回来的。
I believe he will be back and he should be back. Because like you said, if he fights once a year or once 2 years with 1 round only, knock this guy out in 1 round, that barely mean anything. You can train all year round, but when it comes to fight, that's a different atmosphere. So I think if you stay active, if he stays active and with quality opponents, he will be back.
Very true. Very true. And now to the main event from last week. Anthony Joshua gets his stoppage win over Otto Wallin. You have, fought Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, Olympic Games, whatnot. Now that fight has been brought up as a huge fight in the heavyweight division, whether it's in UK, in Saudi Arabia, or in China. And I know that you've been wanting that fight for a long time. Now, in 2024, what would it mean for you to have a fight against Anthony Joshua?
你跟约书亚哈主赛，其实有很长的这个恩怨在里面。奥运会人家打过，到了职业之后呢，也是大家都津津乐道这场比赛，要打，最后也没有打。如果说24年，你觉得有机会打的吗？或者在英国、沙特，在中国哪儿也好，你觉得这个比赛会是一个什么样的可能性呢？
首先上周的比赛，约书亚发挥的非常好，然后从这场比赛中能感觉到他正在回归巅峰，然后从这场比赛也能看到他现在已经找到对付左势的办法，然后包括他的距离的控制，包括他的战术，包括他出拳的时机，然后都非常好。因为可能他通过和乌齐克的2场比赛，然后加上这一场又沃林全是左撇，然后可能说这一场比赛他已经慢已经找到对付左撇的办法了。然后如果说因为我也是左势，如果说24年不管在哪里，不管在伦敦、沙特还是在中国， 我想他也会带给我一定的威胁，因为他现在已经找到对付左氏的办法了。
Oh, first of all, Joshua did really well on that day. And to me, it seems like after his few fights, kept his fights with Oleksandr Usyk, and then he beat Otto Wallin. You can see he's slowly coming back to the top, and I believe he's found his way to deal with southpaw, and he's found the key to win the fight against any southpaw. Now, it makes me can't help but make me think that he was choosing the southpaw for a reason, and I might be the next, but you just never know. It feels like if he's choosing to fight me in UK or Saudi or even China, it's going to be a huge fight. On top of that, he found his way to deal with the southpaw. The timing was great, and the punch selection was awesome, and the distance was beautiful. So that's how you beat a southpaw. Then let's bring it.
Yes, he did perform very well there against Otto Walling, and yes, he became more familiar with southpaws. After his fights with Oleksandr Usyk and also with Alexander Povetkin. But you're a different type of fighter to those guys, to Walling, to Usyk, and to Povetkin. That power that you have would be something for Joshua to deal with. And some say that he might have a different response to a puncher like you. So, do you think your punching power will be a huge factor in a fight with Anthony Joshua?
你这话说的太谦虚了。瓦林跟你都不是一类人。然后呢，你这个带着力量的左撇，别人不带力量的左撇。如果说你真的这个拳干上了他一拳，他也吃不了兜着走啊。会到时候如果你跟他真打了，你会从力量上去碾压他吗？
如果说这一场比赛敲定的话，我估计也是50%、50%吧。因为在重量级里面，约书亚他也不是一个软柿子，对吧？以前也是拳王，几个组织的拳王，然后也有重拳。你要在重量级里面就是这样，然后可能说一拳一个组合，这场比赛就结束了啊。这就看谁的运气好，谁抓的时机好。如果说我打中他一拳，打中他一个组合拳，他也会懵，他也会晕，有可能会倒地。但是他如果打中我，有可能我也会倒地，我也会懵，就是这样。重量级就是这样。
But I appreciate what you said, but I still believe if me and Joshua collide in the ring, it's going to be a 50-50 fight because Joshua is not a walk in the park. He's former champion, amateur world champion, of course, but former champion. He's done a lot of great things. And, this heavyweights, Joshua has power too. And if my punch lands on Joshua, he's going to feel dizzy. He's going to wobble. He's probably going to drop him. But if his punch lands on me, it's going to be the same effect. So it's a 50-50 fight, and I believe that fight will be the most exciting ever.
所以说这就是重量级的魅力，所以说这就是大家为什么喜欢看重量级的比赛，喜欢看强者的对决。
But that also answers the question that why everybody have more passion in heavyweight fighters, in heavyweight bouts, because that's all it's about. Once that power shots land, you're going to see firework.
True. Now, a few more questions here before we close out. Now this is off of the heavyweight division. Just want to get what Zhilei thinks about boxing in general. So could Zhilei, could you give me 3 fighters outside of the heavyweight division that you watch or that you may be a fan of?
现在问题呢，就问一下，除了重量级选手之外，你平时肯定也看别的选手，对吧？除了这些之外，别的级别的选手，给3个名字，你最喜欢看的、最欣赏的是哪3个人？
克劳福德，井上， 马钦科。
Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, and Vasily Lomachenko.
Okay. Who would you think is the best fighter pound for pound right now?
那如果 pound for pound 来说啊，就是不论体重级别，你觉得谁是最好的？
多少？
就不论体重级别，
啊，
谁是最好的选手？
不论体重不论就是所有的选手里面哈，然后我感觉克洛福德，特别棒，我特别喜欢他。
Yeah, Terence Crawford. I really enjoy watching his fight. Such a pleasure.
Okay. Your favorite fighter before you got into boxing as a pro?
在你开始练拳击或者没开始练，就是最开始的时候，你最喜欢的职业拳手是谁？
泰森，迈克泰森。
You heard that? Yeah, Mike Tyson.
Okay. The greatest. He's the greatest. Yeah, the greatest. Yeah. Okay, no problem. All right. Now, given you have 2024 ahead of you, what is your goal for 2024?
展望一下2024年，你的2024年的预期是什么？
现在2023年通过和乔伊斯的2场比赛，我拿到了 WBO 的过渡拳王，但是这不是我们最终的目的。现在我们整个团队共同的目标是在2024年能够争取把过渡2个字去掉，拿到正式的拳王。
Well, after my 2 victories with Joe Joyce, I got the WBO interim world title, but this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Me and my team are working to get rid of that interim in there, which is to say, we're aiming for the world title in 2024.
All right. Now, with that being said, February, Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk. Who do you favor to win?
那6月份的这场泰森和这个乌西克，你觉得谁会更占有优势一点？
这就看他们2个人备战的情况来看了。如果说泰森弗里的状态还像和纳甘诺那样那个状态，他肯定打不了乌西克，因为乌西克一直在训练，非常努力。现在泰森弗里有可能不是把注意力全部放在拳击上面，而是为了赚取更多的钱，所以说2个人的出发点可能不一样，所以说，我感觉乌西克的赢面可能要大一点。
At this level, it all comes down to what type of training camp you have. I think that's the only thing that determine my prediction. So I know that Usyk trains very hard all year round. This guy doesn't take a break. He's dedicated. On the other side, if Tyson Fury trains the way he trained against Francis Ngannou, he might have a tough night, and I might favor Usyk to win. And when one guy is all about boxing and the other guy is all about commercialization and making money, that kind of tells you where the fight is heading to. So it all depends on the preparation of the fight.
Gotcha. Now, we'll see who the winner is in February. But that's the thing. You want to get in there and have a shot against one of those 2 fighters to prove that you can be the best heavyweight out there. A fight between you and Tyson Fury would be huge in the heavyweight division. What are your thoughts about fighting Tyson Fury potentially in 2024?
那如果说他俩决出胜者啊，如果说胜者是泰森弗里的话，你跟他打一场，这绝对火。 你觉得是这样的情况吗？
应该是这样的，因为我从乔伊斯一番战打完之后，我就校正蔡振福林，一直到打完二番战，然后打一番战之后，我校正他，他没有任何反应，然后二番战打完打完，然后校正他，他和乌西克2年的合同没有签下来，然后我一打完一校正他，他立马1个礼拜就和乌西克签了协议，所以说，如果说他统一的话，他赢了乌西克的话，我们2个的比赛肯定是2024年最精彩的比赛。
Yeah, this fight between me and Tyson Fury has been circling around for a while ever since I beat Joe Joyce in the first fight. I called him out after the first fight, no response. I called him out after a second fight. He signed a contract with Usyk right away in a week. So to me, it seems like he's running away from me. However, I feel like if we face each other in 2024, it's gonna be fight of the year candidate.
All right. Yeah, that would definitely be a great fight in the heavyweight division. Two big guys. They're two big, personalities in Tyson Fury and Zhilei Zhang. That would be huge. Now, Usyk, you've given a lot of credit to Usyk in his preparation for his fights and against his opponents. You've seen his, background in the amateurs, going to semi-pro professional boxing, and now being a 2-division unified world champion. What are your thoughts about facing him as a southpaw?
那乌西克呢？其实你一直对他非常看好，也非常尊重啊。从业余到职业，你都对他很了解。如果说乌西克赢了，那么你下一个对手对阵乌西克，2个人都是左将，这场比赛会是什么样的情景呢？
我们2个都是左将，然后我打左将也比较少，可能还需要去慢慢去适应。所以说，如果说我和乌西克打的话，也是50%，50%啊。
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest with you, when southpaw fighting southpaw, it's a kind of awkward fight. To be honest with you, I do not have a problem with southpaw, but I do not fight a lot of southpaw either. So it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion.
Gotcha. Now, with that being said, here we got a few minutes. Zhang, what is your overall message to the heavyweight division going into 2024?
我们还有几分钟的时间啊。如果说你要向重量级的所有人喊一句话，2024年给他们亮一嗓子，你会说一句什么话呢？
就2024新的一年，然后就让我们来为全民奉献精彩的比赛。
Yeah, in 2024, let's all get together, fight each other, and deliver good fights for the boxing fans around the world.
Gotcha. Big thanks to you, Zhilei Zhang. And of course, thank you, Kurt, for helping us.
Thank you, James.
With this interview. Just want to give a shout out to the Lane brothers who, managers for Zhilei Zhang. And I think, he's still with Queensberg Promotions. So, like I said, look forward to seeing Zhang, the Big Bang, in action in 2024.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.